going to be going over GSC OU viability rankings, and with this video, I'm just going to be rapid firing, talking about whether a Pokemon is properly rated, underrated, or overrated. So I posted a part one and part two where I made a PowerPoint presentation on the viability rankings and overuse, and I basically just went through each Pokemon, talked about their sets, and talked about where they're rated. But what I wasn't able to do in those two videos was I planned originally to go back through the PowerPoint and just go down the list and say properly rated, overrated, underrated, but I wasn't able to reverse go back and do it. PowerPoint just wouldn't let me, so I decided I'm just going to go on to Smogon where they have the list of the S1 rank down to like D rank, and I'm just going to go through each Pokemon very quickly and just say whether I think they're properly rated, underrated, or overrated. So here we go. We're going to start off strong with Snorlax. Snorlax is obviously properly rated. It is the best Pokemon in GSC overuse, undisputedly. It's also like the best Pokemon in GSC Ubers for the most part. So it's just the best. It's like the queen in chess, for example. It's just subjectively the best piece on the board or best Pokemon in the game. It has like over 5 sets that can be used, which just makes it so versatile. And especially being used at the end of the game most of the time, a lot of GSC overuse is just playing around using your win condition of Snorlax and trying not to reveal all of its moves early in the game so that you have the surprise factor. And a lot of the Pokemon in the GSC OU format, a lot of them are good based on how good they are into Snorlax most of the time. So that just shows you how good a Pokemon is, that the metagame's kind of shaped around it in a sense. Number two, Zapdos, properly rated. Zapdos is the second best Pokemon to Snorlax and the second most used Pokemon other than Snorlax. And it's just it's an electric type that's flying, so it can't be hit by earthquake. Zapdos is an overused in almost every generation. It's just such a great Pokemon. Its stats are great. Um, its thunders can check Snorlax in the sense that if you get a couple thunders off, you're forcing Snorlax to rest, especially if you paralyze it. Its whirlwind sets are pretty good with the offensive sets. It can use Thunder Wave, it can use Whirlwind, it can use Reflect, it can use Light Screen, it can use Hidden Power Ice, it can use Hidden Power Water. Zapdos is just an amazing Pokemon. It's always been a great threat in GSU. It's properly rated. Cloyster at number three. I think Cloyster at number three is fair. I'd say maybe slightly overrated, slightly underrated, in the sense that if I were to make this list, I'd say Cloyster and Raikou could probably switch either way. Cloyster is the best spikes user in the generation. Its surfs can check a lot of the ground types and rock types of the tier, such as Steelix, Rhydon, Golem, Pokemon like that. Tyranitar, even. Sometimes Cloyster can run Ice Beam, which can hit Executor and Zapdos hard. Sometimes it can run I've seen it run Icy Wind for like a speed control. Explosion's great. It can just check a lot of Pokemon. You can get a spike up, explode. Toxic is good for other Cloyster or just other Pokemon switching in. Hidden Power Electric's used to counter Cloyster. Just a great Pokemon overall, and definitely the best Spikes user. Raikou, I'd say is fairly rated. Like I said, it could go either way with Cloyster. I could switch those or switch them back. That's pretty up for debate. My first hot take of the tiering is that I think Gengar is overrated. Gengar, because this is a generation before it has an ability, it just gets bowled over by a lot of physical attacks, especially Earthquake, and even just special attacks. Like I've used Thief Gengar before, and sometimes I'm killed before I can even get a Thief off, so I don't even get to steal any leftovers, and I'm already dead. Or if it is a Thief Gengar, it's like you take a Surf, you're at like 50% health, and you're not even chip healing back with leftovers. So it's very unfortunate. Also, because it doesn't have Levitate in this gen versus later gens, each time you switch into Rapid Spin, guess what? You're taking damage to spikes. And you don't have a lot of health to begin with, so you can't take damage from spikes. And I'm not to say Gengar is a bad Pokemon. It's definitely the best uh, Ghost type in the tier. It's better than Mischievous, but at the same time, uh, Gengar's just very frail, can get bowled over easy. I mean, a lot of offensive Pokemon can, but I just think Gengar's a little overrated. I'd say Tyranitar and Executor are better than Gengar. I'd say Gengar's like right above Steelix. So I wouldn't say it's like way worse, but I definitely say that it should be low A rank instead of high A rank in my opinion. Next up is Tyranitar. I'd say Tyranitar has a lot of versatility with its Pursuit or Crunch or Fire Blast and Earthquake and Rock Slide and Roar and its Screech sets that can break down Pokemon like Steelix, Pokemon like Fortress that have really high defenses. Where you can use Screech to lower their defense by 2 and hit Earthquakes. Its curse that's good. So I'd say Tyranitar, a little underrated. I'd move it up above Gengar. Executor, I'd also move above Gengar. Executor is the best grass type in the tier. It can spread a status with Spore and with a Sun Spore to spread sleep and paralysis. You can also spread Leech Seed. Psychic is really good, as there's not many Pokemon that have Pursuit in this gen. And in the best Pursuit user being Tyranitar is kind of ironic because with Executor you got Giga Drain. So if they switch in Tyranitar and you go for Giga Drain, you're healing off more health than you're gonna be losing switching out. Steelix, I'd say, is fairly rated. It's a defensive Pokemon that can't be toxic and wear down that way, which is very useful. It has like 200 defense, which is just incredible. It's curse stats where you can curse up and explode on things like Zapdos, Roar as a phase user, and also just being Roar to like force Pokemon into spikes, doing stuff like sandbagging, which is where a Pokemon doesn't want to be in, and then you phase them out into the spikes again and again because the Pokemon that you roar into is not good into Steelix. Happens a lot. I'd say Skarmory and Fortress are fairly rated. They're both very good Steel types. They do two different things. Skarmory is a hard counter to Snorlax and a lot of other physical Pokemon in the tier, as it has very high defense and it's immune to Earthquake, and it can hit pretty hard back with Drill Peck after a few curses. Fortress is a really good uh, Spikes user, the second best Spikes user to Cloyster. The difference between Fortress and Cloyster is Cloyster is a bit faster and a little more offensively threatening with its moves like Surf, and Fortress is more just defensive. Like it's just like Spikes uh, and Rapid Spin. Like Cloyster sometimes runs Rapid Spin, but Fortress always runs Rapid Spin. So that's a difference there too. Is Fortress is more about like longevity, sticking around for a while, keep getting the spikes up, and Cloyster is like a more offensive oriented version of that. Uh, Machamp, I'd say, is fairly rated. It's really good at breaking through physically defensive Pokemon by using Curse and setting up. It's also really good at checking Pokemon like Zapdos on the switch, because Zapdos will switch in expecting a Cross Chop. You can hit them with a Curse boosted Rock Slide and do like half their health. Starmie is really good. The best Rapid Spinner that isn't a Spikes user itself. Uh, Starmie is good in almost every generation as a Rapid Spinner. It's fast. It's got high special attack with water type moves like Hydro Pump or Surf. It's just really good. Substitute is weird in this generation. Substitute in Gen 2 can't be breaking through by healing moves. So if you use Substitute with Starmie, if Executor tries to Giga Drain, it can't break that sub. Which I know that sounds like a very rare niche thing to happen, but it's happened a couple times. I switched in my Executor trying to force the Starmie out, and all of a sudden, my Executor can't do diddly dick against the Starmie. And then once you know, now I gotta switch out. I'm either getting hit by Hydro Pump or I'm getting Thunder Waved. It's really annoying, but small rate aside, Starmie is fairly rated. Golem also fairly rated. I think it being one under Starmie's very fitting in the sense that Golem's a worse rapid spinner than Starmie, but it does different things. Golem can phase with Roar. It has Explosion, which is really good because you could rapid spin off the spikes. And say, for example, you're in rapid spinning spikes and their spikes user, whether it be Fortress or Cloyster, is now dead. Now your Golem's threatening a boom, where if they don't have a Gengar that's going to pivot in, you can explode. And even if they have a Gengar, they're not going to want to switch in on Golem because, as discussed earlier, Gengar really doesn't like Earthquake. It will die. And sometimes they'll switch in thinking, oh, I'm safe. This Golem's going to Rapid Spin. Nope, Earthquake dead. So, next Pokemon on the list, Vaporeon. Vaporeon, I'd say, slightly overrated, in my opinion. If I were to switch these up, I'd say Marowak's number 14, Jinx is number 15, Vaporeon's number 16. Marowak is a really good breaker, one of the best breakers in the game, besides Machamp and Snorlax, probably. Just setting up with Swords Dance, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Hidden Power, Bug, or Ghost. Depending what coverage you need, it always hits hard. I really like the Sleep Talk set. I've been using that a lot lately with Rest, Sleep Talk, Earthquake, and then Ancient Power. Ancient Power is 100% accurate. You don't have to worry about missing, unlike Rock Slide. And you have that small chance of getting an Omni Boost which is great because once you get that Omni boost, you can rest up, sleep talk again, and you kind of become like a miniature breaker. Like with the sleep talk set, you're not going to sweep a whole team, but with the sleep talk set, setting up with an ancient power, resting off the damage done to you using earthquake and just spamming ancient power. As you've seen in my videos, if you've been watching my videos, it can tear through teams. It can take out like 2 or 3 Pokemon if you get lucky with an Omni boost. And if you take out 2 or 3 Pokemon, you basically won the game as long as you don't play like an idiot. Jinx is kind of a one-trick pony, but the trick it does very well. It puts Pokemon to sleep. It's fast. It gets a fast, lovely kiss off. It gets a lot of RNG, like Ice Beam freezes or Psychic drops, and sometimes you can put a Pokemon to sleep and then substitute up, and then now, especially if it's late game, if you have a sub up, you can get good damage off with Ice Beam and Psychics. Jinx is just a very good offensive Pokemon. Very good in the lead slot to threaten a Thief of leftovers or a Lovely Kiss. C1 rank, I'd change up a bit. Heracross is overrated. I'd say Nidoking is better than Heracross. Nidoking's the best mixed attacker in the tier. Heracross is kind of a one-trick pony. Excuse me, sorry. But its trick it doesn't do super well. As with Mega Horn's able to miss, it's like 85% accurate. Exists Mega Horn, like Nidoking exists Mega Horn, for example. Zapdos resists Mega Horn. A lot of Pokemon resist it. Fighting types resist it. So it's not that Heracross is bad. I just think it's a little overrated. Jolteon's really good at what it does. It's the best agility pass user in the tier, so it fills that niche. Umbreon is just is the best defensive pursuit user, and Charm is really good on like stall teams because you can just lower Pokemon's attack and then just like piss off. So that's pretty good. Um, I don't know what else to say about Umbreon. You toxic Pokemon, use Confuse Ray. You just annoy them. You tickle them a little bit. You annoy them, and when they get mad at you, you switch out. Like that's kind of what Umbreon does, and he does it fairly well. It's pretty annoying. It's really hard to kill it. Never wants to die. I don't know what else to say. Mischievous, I'd say it's fairly rated. Mischievous just does what Gengar does, but does it worse. The benefit to Mischievous, though, to Gengar is Mischievous can actually take an attack or two. And unlike Gengar, it's not weak to ground, so that's good too. You can like switch it on Earthquake and not like die instantly, so that's pretty cool. Mischievous, like it almost always runs the Perish trap sets. So it's like if you get that off, great. Some teams are pretty oh, I can't speak today. Susceptible to Perish talk. So if they're weak to that set, great. But if they're not weak to it, your Mischievous isn't really doing much besides blocking Rapid Spin. But hey, blocking Rapid Spin is still a very useful tool. So if you're able to do that to effect, you're doing your due diligence. You're doing good. Um, Tentacruel, I'd say is better than Mischievous. Tentacruel, I'd say is underrated. I'd probably move him up a few spots. I'd say it's underrated because of the fact that it's like one of the best counters to Cloyster. It has Rapid Spin to get rid of hazards. Uh, it has very high special defense, and it's a water type that resists Surf. It's immune to Toxic from Cloyster. So it's just a hard, Tentacruel's just a hard Cloyster check. And when Cloyster is the best Rapid Spinner, if you can just keep Tentacruel alive for a while, it's just really good to counter Cloyster pretty hard. So if you're a hard counter to one of the top Pokemon in the tier, you already have a good niche. So I'd say Tentacruel is underrated. Espeon, I'd say is overrated pretty highly. I'd say Alakazam, Moltank, Blissey, they're probably all better than him. I'd say Alakazam is slightly underrated. I'd say better than Espeon, probably better than Mischievous. Alakazam's utility set with Psychic, Fire Punch, uh, Recover, and Toxic's really good as it hits most things in the tier. Fire hits Steel that would be resisted by Psychic. That are especially defensive, such as like Blissey or Snorlax or other especially defensive Pokemon that are going to come in expecting a Psychic. As it can use Heal Bell to heal your teammate's status condition. So it's kind of a one-trick pony. Well, two-trick pony. It can heal your teammate's status and it can check Snorlax with Growl, not Groar. Growl's not even a word. I don't know why I said that. I meant growl. So it can check Snorlax with growl. It can spread some status with body slam. It can prevent your own teammate status with heal bell. So that's what Miltank does. Quagsire and Blissey, I'd say they're both only really good at install. Blissey fulfills a similar niche to uh, Snorlax, being especially defensive normal type, so it's not used on a lot of teams outside of stall. Quagsire is probably the best belly drum user besides Snorlax. So the C2 rank is basically two Pokemon that do something that Snorlax does, but they do it worse. So, I mean, if you have Snorlax using a different set, a lot of stall teams with Snorlax will use like a toxic Snorlax set with like toxic and flamethrower. So then Blissey might be doing something different than Snorlax. So it definitely has a use on specific teams, but it's not good on most teams, and that's why it's here. Rhydon, I'd say, is fairly rated. It's a really good sweeper, late game sweeper on some teams, but generally is outclassed by the other rock and ground type of Golem. Suicune's fairly rated. It's very defensive. Sorry, I have a cough. It's very defensive. Uh, has 115 in both physical defense and special defense with a high HP stat. One of the benefits of Suicune is that I can take an explosion from a lot of Pokemon and heal it off, which is great. And then it has Rest, Sleep Talk, Ice Beam and Surf, or Surf and Toxic. It's used on stall teams. One of the famous stall teams it's used on is Double Dog, which utilizes Rest Talk Suicune and Rest Talk Raikou. Smeargle, I'd say, is fairly rated. It's a agility pass user, but does so worse than Jolteon. It also is a spikes user, but does so worse than other spikes users. The benefit of Smeargle as a lead is like in hyper offense, you can get a spore off, so you can put a Pokemon to sleep and then you can put some spikes up and die, or put a Pokemon to sleep, agility pass and die. So it fulfills that niche. Porygon 2, I'd say, is underrated. I'd say I'd put it a few spots higher, probably closer to the top of C3, maybe even into the C2 rank. And its ability to blank Snorlax can't be understated. Like I said, any Pokemon that's good as Snorlax has a good use in Gen 2. Um, when you curse up against Snorlax, it will only die to 2 crit hit double edges in a row. Excuse me. Which rarely ever happens. It's happened before. I've had it happen. I was pretty disappointed, but most of the time, if you're using Porygon 2, you can just flat out counter Snorlax, which is great. You can even reverse sweep if your opponent's dumb enough to let you get enough curses off. Thunder Wave is just useful as utility. It has Ice Beam, which is good as utility. Like Porygon 2 is a decent Pokemon. Like it's not great, but it definitely has its use in the tier. Uh, Dragonite, however, doesn't really have its use in the tier. I think 32 is pretty fitting uh, as like the bottom of C3 rank. And below C3 rank, you have C4 and D1 and like D2. But all those Pokemon that are in those tiers are like UBL, so they're not even OU Pokemon. So I just don't count them in my viability steering list. I get Porygon 2 is technically UUBL, but I think by modern standards it's rated OU. So yeah, there you have it. There are my ratings of properly rated, overrated, and underrated in GSC OU. I hope you watched my two GSC OU viability rankings videos prior to watching this, because if you didn't, this video might not make as much sense. But if you did watch this first, just go back and watch those videos, and I hope you like this video. Feel free to like and subscribe. And if you want to see more GSC OU content, you know who to watch. I've been posting GSC OU content daily, mainly posting gaming uploads of me playing, gameplay, but I've also been posting like what you saw today. We're talking about viability rankings. So, yeah, that's all I have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.